Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. And I thought I'd open it up to questions or shares right off the bat. You can unmute yourself or type in, and then with time we'll go through and we'll do a bit of a practice.
Yeah, go ahead, Lolly.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey, um, sorry, I'm still like waking up from the other two sessions right now, so thank you. Um, so I don't know, I mean, the class was great, but what was weird is, I do a lot of classes with you. So usually like Sunday night, I'm so like my mind is clear and I get stuff done and everything is just so calm and nice and this Sunday not so much. Like I
Mhm.
got Not, I don't even, it's not really upset, but maybe kind of sort of like just feeling like all kind of stuff that's not working out in my life kind of came up and nothing relaxing and just like not, usually I get like a bunch of stuff done and I'm motivated and I'm like, just like a weird feeling of like, I don't know if it's heaviness of what of some, I can't even really explain that, but something kind of shifted and wasn't feeling too pleasant. I think maybe yesterday afternoon, today I'm finally feeling better, like more like myself in a way.
Mhm.
But so I don't know if it has to do with, all the things that we worked on and the blend that I was kind of gravitating towards, even to just applying on my wrists the last few days is number three. The third
Mhm.
aspect, which I kind of
Mhm.
like, I played a little bit with the second aspect, like just before bed, which seems nice as well. So I don't know. So I'm just wondering what's going on. Did it bring stuff up? Am I processing things? Is it like
I wouldn't say that it brings stuff up, but you're opening up, you're accessing a kind of consciousness. So I would say, you're going deeper into the intuitive mind, which means you're definitely letting go more of the intellect. And, when the intellect kind of starts to let go, it kind of leaves claw marks all over everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's so used to repetition and it's so used to maintenance. And if you think of what the idea of Jupiter is, it's expansion, it's healing, it's also vision, which means, you know, deeper levels of the intuitive mind. And then it's tied to materialization, prosperity, abundance. And so I wouldn't say that it brings things up, but it makes you more aware of what's holding you back. And so, the intellect always wants to kind of resolve it so it can get back to keeping the maintenance, keeping the repetition. And that is the source of our suffering, is that repetition, not being able to break out of it, not being able to see past it. And, with this, you're seeing beyond that repetition and you're seeing the areas that need healing and you're seeing the areas for improving the life and materializing things, like prosperity and abundance can be, you know, increasing and improving finances, but it also can be quality of life. It could be, love. It can be, relationships. It can be, you know, even your spiritual practice. And if you think of like the alignment of the guardian angel, like it is the angel of the presence, you know, the angel of the presence, if you think of it from the point of view of our true nature, just like our body has a very different perspective than the mind, our true nature has a very different perspective than the mind as well. And it doesn't mean that it's like wrong or things are coming up, but you know, part of how we learn, how we grow, how we evolve, how we heal is not by doing the same thing over and over again or doing what the mind thinks or bringing some sort of comfort or something. It is, presented with these are the things that I need to work through. These are the things that, need healing. And um, you could say Jupiter keeps your eye on the ball. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Rather than just thinking that I'm going to do the same thing over and over again, but one of these days a different result's going to happen. I'm
Mhm.
going to heal. I'm going to prosper. I'm going to, do something different.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, what's
It's
interesting is
it's not
that.
it's not bad, but like sometimes, with anything, even with, like when I was traveling with Medicine Man, we were doing these crazy intense sweat lodges, and they're a healing ceremony, and we had been doing them for, I mean, weeks and weeks, and then one night, um, I can't remember what happened, but um, basically it was just going to be an easy night, like, and he goes, oh, just go in there by yourself. We had to use the stones, because they'd been heated up, but it was just like going to be a really soft night. Probably the hardest sweat lodge I ever did, hardest by far. And, you know, I don't know. Like for me, like I think about that night sometimes, and I think part of me let my guard down. Like I was
Mm.
like, oh, this is gonna be easy.
Mhm.
And I like stepped out of myself where when I was going in and it's tense, I was like, yeah, I'm ready, but I had my guard up. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
That was me being super intellectual. And
Mhm.
whenever we start to see the other side, we really do start to see the things that we wish we could always address, but from the point of view of intellect, we make stories and reasons of why to not do it. And really, I was saying this in the star session, is like from the point of view of intellect, a lot of times it's like if you had a bunch of things on your desk, intellect just rearranges it and goes like, look, if it's so much better. Didn't really do anything other than rearrange things, but it brings the mind some level of comfort. But like all those tasks that you had on your desk, none of them got addressed,
Mhm.
you know. And the thing is at some point you do got to start shuffling through those papers and open up those folders and opening up those envelopes that haven't been opened up for a couple of weeks or a month or
Mhm.
something. And so it's kind of like the mystical version of that.
Mhm. I like that. And yeah, and some good insights came up. And also
Yeah.
what's interesting is I always feel like I don't like I'm here, but I'm not really here. Like I'm kind of disconnected from things. And
Mhm.
the last few days it's been coming up even stronger. And also the feeling of time, it just doesn't, I don't know if it doesn't exist, but it's like this feeling of, I think you mentioned that at some point, like kind of stretching time in a weird
Yeah,
way.
sure. Yeah, sure.
That's been
Yeah.
coming up a lot.
Yeah.
Like I get stuff done. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. I thought I had a certain amount of time, but actually all of a sudden more like it, and that came up like every day the last three
Mhm.
days. I'm like, this is cool and
Mhm.
interesting. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
You,
I'm
like
guessing.
on that note, like so, I've been doing this practice for a very long time.
Mhm.
And I met this kind of, I don't know, at the time they were like kind of a famous clairvoyant. And, she met me and we didn't really talk a whole lot, but we were just kind of standing there. And she kind of did her head like this and she goes, your ability to bend time is crazy. Like it's crazy. And it's tied to the work of Jupiter. Like I mean other
Okay.
planets too, but like a lot of it's Jupiter.
Okay, and that's
Yeah.
interesting because
Yeah.
this story you mentioned that before,
Yeah.
and I remember that just earlier today. I'm like, oh, that kind of what I'm feeling kind of sounds
Mhm.
okay. So thank you. So it's all connecting
Yeah.
together.
And
Okay.
you know, from the point of view of intellect, we always see like when something comes up, like, I got to do something with this. But really, with intuition, it is how we're going to learn, it's how we're going to grow, it's how we're going to evolve, it's how we're going to heal. And, it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just we have gotten so used to intellect that we really don't allow. Like we take intuition out for a walk sometimes, but we don't let it run free. You know what I mean? Like we just kind of like go, okay, we're gonna walk around the block, stay close, stay on the leash. You do what I tell you, and then and when
Mhm.
you really start opening up intuition, it's a whole nother world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's been very interesting. And then if I really wanted to work with like one blend or a couple of them, is there one that's better for me? Oh, sorry. Is there one that's better for me than others?
Probably two. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just do
You don't have to use it all the time, but like when
yeah.
you're really wanting to. Because I find two interesting because it kind of has a healing quality and it's still kind of like a prosperity, abundance kind
Mhm.
of materialization aspect as well. And so,
Okay.
they're all good,
Mhm.
but the thing that I would say with Jupiter, it's the one associated with the heart. It's the
Mhm.
planet of the heart, and more than any of the other planets, it is really about expanding and starting to expand beyond our body and our physiology and the form and beginning to truly experience our emotional side, the astral body,
Mhm.
and so much of it is like, I always make that joke about wanting to live cage free. And the cage is the physiology. It really is the physiology.
Mhm.
And as we start to break out of the physiology, there's a whole nother world out there. A whole nother world. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And also,
Yeah.
so I'm just wondering, that's like a more
Mhm.
technical. What's in the second aspect of Jupiter?
Oh, the
What's in
blend?
the blend? Yes.
Let's see. That's a very good question. You have to give me a minute. Like I have all seven aspects all together as like one big booklet in my notes. You said the second one, right?
Yeah. Um,
It is, um, oh yeah, it's super fancy. Neroli, aloes, attractalodes, green heart, and frankincense vital.
okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Lavanya.
Hey, Lavanya.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the Astara sessions. They were really, deep.
Oh, good.
And I felt like the whole back had opened really
Oh,
big.
good. Yeah, good.
Wasn't sure what happened, what to make of it. But yeah, I couldn't. It's like,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
is it so big? And then it's like a big back hole there, and then the chest, and then back chest, and all of it.
Yeah.
My question is like,
Mhm.
I think all my life pretty much I did what felt right. Like, I never was the one to think and speak. I
Mhm.
just speak because, like, somehow whatever comes. I don't know if it's called impulsiveness or intuitiveness, but some major life decisions or any of them, I just took them because I felt like, I don't know, just the right thing to do in that moment. Up until recently, I believe that's the way I rolled, but somehow in my career, I was never happy. Like
Mhm.
I was go-getter, like I would do the things. I wouldn't like, get the things done very well. And I understand I
Mhm.
troubleshoot very well.
Mhm.
My comprehension is pretty good and
Mhm.
I can, but still after a year or two from the beginning, I wouldn't be happy. I wanted something else. So I would grow. I would find a new one. I would leave. I would find a new one. I would leave.
Mhm. Mhm.
And went on until 3, 4 years ago. And then I changed the field. I feel like then the game changed. Then I was the let go. I was
Mhm.
let go. And
Mhm.
then I was let go. And then after the last two, I kind of crashed. I don't have any more energy to get up and do anymore. Like I was done for. Like what they call, like, spiritually, whoever, Eckhart Tolle or whatever. Just the rock bottom. I hit the rock bottom from the last 9 months.
Mhm.
Like I was there. And I'm doing all the work, like, that spirit. I can never, like, sometimes I don't know, overdoing to the extreme. Like, I can't stop it. I can't stop meditating or I can't stop studying. I can't stop listening. I just go with the flow. And I feel like somehow my left brain isn't enough. But surprisingly, when we were doing I think I said that twice in the two of the sessions before when we worked with Clary Sage. I felt
Mhm.
like part of my right brain was missing, but only when we did that, like you said, think
Mhm.
of the repetitive pattern and then do the
Mhm.
Clary Sage. And then both the times, I think those sessions were months apart, but
Mhm.
still the back side of the right brain was like off. It was switched off. And
Mhm.
then, so I was like, oh, what the, and then from then onwards, I started breathing into that area or something. But anyway, I feel like I'm still stuck. No matter what I do, I can't see a way forward this time, or like from this stage of my life. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I don't know. It might be too intense question for the recording, but I just
So,
thought I'll
so
ask.
when you say stuck, you mean like in your occupation, your career, or in your spiritual life, or in
Everything, like it's just
everything?
yeah, it's I lost my so beginning of the year I did this all started when I did maybe I don't know if it has something to do with it. I have taken the heartache on last November. The following weekend was like the one, oh, I had a job for another 6 weeks, but they were not going to renew anymore. And then after that, I lost, I couldn't get, no matter how much I tried. And then my dog passed away, and then I was in an accident and I
Mhm.
lost my car. So a lot of those things happened, and one by one by one. I think I needed to do some soul reflection, and I am calmer than ever before from the last few
Mhm.
months. I
Mhm.
I've forgiven everyone that I could think of, at least on a top or conscious level.
Mhm.
I'm sure there must be still some stuff in the underneath, but from intellectual point of view, I did. So I don't know what I'm even asking, but I am stuck and
Yeah,
I did.
I kind of, I mean, I think I get what you're talking about. And like, that's the thing, that we're kind of talking about is from the point of view of intellect, we feel we need to make something happen, or we need to do something, or we need to release something, or, something of that nature, right? We want to stimulate something and really, if you look at it, intellect is tied to the sympathetic nervous system. It's tied to the, action activity, but it's also fight, flight, and it's used to like, we got to maintain this. And that's why, like, when we break out of repetition or we break out of a pattern, is that the the body has like a stress response. It has like uh, it's a little bit of a freak out moment. It's trying to hold
Yeah,
everything together. And the thing is like there's a time and a place for that. Like it does serve us. It's not that
mhm,
we completely shut it down, but I would say the thing that if we're always looking through that set of lenses, is that we don't really see the opportunities, and we don't see the ability to adjust or adapt, or we don't see like a new avenues that might be, opening up in front of us. And as much as I know this, like I was just talking about this like a week or two ago, I can tell when something is going to be like when something comes in that's new and it's going to be profound, because I fight it tooth and nail. And I mean, I
yeah,
I do all these practices all the time, and like, in some areas I'm like, oh, I'm so relaxed, I'm so this, I'm so that. But then this area comes in, I'm like, nope, 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 I'm not gonna do it. Like, I keep trying to push it away, and I know like, oh, that's probably gonna be a big thing for me because, you know, the intellect sees these things, these difficulties as like a problem or an obstacle or a thing to be managed, when intuition uses this to like take its next step or to learn something big. And really, like, if we were to have an internal handbook of like how to get through life, it would be for the intellectual mind would go, oh, the handbook's amazing. As soon as the intuition gets a hold of that handbook, is like it just throws
yeah,
it away and goes, you know, let's live life, And it doesn't mean disregard job and disregard um career and all those things, but to like be able to spend the time and just observe something. You're basically you're gathering information. You're just gathering information. And then the next step will be some sort of inspired action, right? And when the inspired action comes in, intellect can play a role in that, but
yeah,
when you're trying to problem solve or break out of a loop or do something different or address some problem or something, that first step of just spending a moment observing. And I started doing this thing, for a while I would do it at night, but you know how like sometimes I'll wake up at like, I don't know, 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and I'm not ready to get up, but I'm not really like asleep like I was. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so in that time, I've started doing this thing where, you know, there's the normal everyday things, but like there's bigger picture things that I like, in my life. I would like to be able to address this some way, somehow. And when I look at it from the point of view of my intellect, I get very overwhelmed by it. And even when I sit down to do like observation, a lot of times I'll avoid it because I'm like, it's too big. Like it's just too big. And so I started doing this thing where I just, when I'm laying in bed and nothing's expected of me, and I just start observing some of these things where, I wish something would happen, or I wish I could shift in these areas. And they're usually a lot bigger picture, or, like they have to do with like direction in life and, those kinds of things. And, I spend 5 minutes and then I'm laying there and I notice that like my mind keeps bouncing away and I keep coming back and I go, okay, I'm going to observe this, and my awareness is on my heart, and then I'll be done and then I'll go, well, you know, I don't know that I realized anything or anything happened, but I'll notice later in the day that all of a sudden there's this direction that comes from the inside out, or there's some sort of inspired action that starts to happen that I didn't really think about it. It just started happening. And in that, my intellect still kind of gets in and does the things that it does, but it's like kind of shifting from that intellectual point of view where intuition is starting to guide you and it's starting to put you in different places where you can learn more or align with something better, or you start being a little bit more in the right place at the right time. And they start working with each other, but it really comes down to spending those moments of that observation. And even if it's like, okay, what direction am I going to do in my life? What am I going to do with a career? Like, how am I going to find a new job? Or, you know, what the hell's going on in my life? I've asked myself that many, many times. And I don't get an answer the way intellect would like an answer,
Yeah.
but I get inspired action that is something that I always wanted. Like, it's, how like sometimes from the point of view of intellect, you're like, I'd really like to do some of these like things and these different practices. I just don't know how, or I don't know where I would go and everything. And it's like, I'm doing the things that I wanted to do. It just didn't look like the way my intellectual mind thought it was going to look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, like, if I understand right, just take the mind off of it in a problem-solving mode, like I would approach the computer programming or other mind work, but
Right. Because
rather,
there's
yeah,
problem solving from intellect is usually trying to maintain something. Like I need
yeah,
to make this better so I can get back to my routine.
yeah,
Intuition is like, let's step out of this circle and let's do
mhm,
something different. You know what I mean? Let's
yeah,
evolve this some way. And both have their place. Both have their
yeah,
place. But the intuition usually has to be a little bit more cultivated. And to a certain extent I would say it's a little bit scary sometimes because the intellect is very good at micromanaging where
yeah,
intuition is not. And it's like you let go of that micromanaging a little bit and it's like, what am I going to do? And yeah, like it's not something that you have to make happen, and it's not something where you need to have this ability immediately. It's a lot of little movements. It's a lot of
yeah,
little movements, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna let my guard down a little bit, okay, and then I'm gonna step back, and then a little bit
mhm,
more, and then I step back, and even the idea of expansion, which is part of Jupiter, we just think of
mhm,
expansion of like ta-da, but really
yeah,
expansion is this and then back and then this and then back and then a little further out and then everything comes back. So even like with the intellect and intuition, you have intuition, it comes back to intellect. Intuition comes back to intellect. You have expansion in your meditation, you come back into your body. All of these different things. And the thing that really propels us forward in life and healing in the mind is the expansion and the contraction, the expansion and the contraction. And I spent so many years trying to avoid the contraction. Well, at first I should say I tried to avoid the expansion. And then when I started having expansion, I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then I spent a lot of time, be it in life, in work, in my meditation. I would avoid the contraction. And even in meditation, like I'm opening up, I'm having this beautiful, blissful experience. Oh, it's amazing. I just want to linger here. And then I'd start coming back into my body. And I was like, but I want to stay there. I want to stay there. I want to stay in the expanded state. And that start coming in my body. And then in my mind, I was just like, well, the meditation's done. Right. I did that for more than a decade. Right.
Wow.
And then one time I was just feeling lazy. And I came back into my body and I was like, yeah, I got stuff to do. I got to do today. I'm just going to sit here and just kind of hang in this chill spot. And the next thing I knew, like, I was there for a few minutes, like probably a little bit longer than a few minutes. And I was just sitting there, I was just being still. And all of a sudden, a bigger expansion happened. And I was like, whoa, I went way past where I was before. And then it started contracting and coming in back into the body. And I was like, that was interesting. And so when I came back to the body, I just sat there for a while. And then I had an even bigger expansion. And, at first it happened in meditation, but, really what that is divine intelligence. It's the creative flow. And even when we look at these things from an intuitive point of view, we're not shutting down intellect. We're just telling intellect, shh, for a moment. And you're letting some expansion happen. It's going to go back to intellect, right? But we're just trying to open up the opportunity of something new or different or spontaneous to come in. Because really in that area, that's where the inspired action is going to come from. And so, even if you just start with simple observations, they seem so simple, but they can be so, so powerful, so, so powerful.
Wow. I think I had one of those expansion when you were talking itself. It's just so beautiful. It made my heart warm and I
Oh,
was
good.
almost tearful. But
Good.
thank you so much. My life has changed so much. I remember my first workshop that I attended, and then I was like coming from pranic healing, and then
Mhm.
I was like, I'm going to do this to my chakra. When I'm
Mhm.
focusing on this center,
Sure.
I'm doing this,
Sure,
this,
sure.
this. But sure enough, I can see something. But the bigger gift is I'm realizing as I'm attending more and more to actually have the faith and trust in the light,
Right.
that the light do the job. And then
Yeah.
when we surrender to the light, it
Yeah.
can give you like a bigger expansion than when I go in
Right.
there with the hand, I'm going to make you do this, because I know better, but
Right.
rather getting off the driver's seat and to surrender to the light, whatever
Right.
comes is still good. It's actually way, way better than what we can even think of, I think.
Right. And that's the thing that, so many times I think I want, I'm shooting for this and this is coming my
Mhm.
way. And I'll go, no, 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 no. I want this, you know.
Yeah.
And I realize that, the biggest for me, I can't speak for anybody else,
Mm.
but for me, the biggest obstacles in my life were always me. It was never about somebody else or some situation,
Mm.
you know. Even, I had a situation where um, I had to walk away from a situation in work. And it was a place that I'd been for a while, and let's just say I didn't go willingly. Like, I was
Mm.
being handed my hat, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I was upset and I was this and I was that, and And, I stepped into something else where I was happier. I had more growth. I made more money. I didn't have, the politics. I didn't have, it was just all the things
Yeah.
that were always bothering me. They're all resolved. And I found myself even a couple years later, I was like, yeah, but I was, I was forced to leave or, whatever it was. And, you know, I couldn't find a bad thing that happened other than it just didn't go the way I thought it should go.
Mm.
And when I really kind of let go with that, I stopped torturing myself about it. It didn't happen overnight, but
Yeah.
sometimes because if you think of expansion, it's growth, and sometimes we do have those little things that we step into where it's not comfortable, but then you look back and you're going like, thank God it happened. But in the
Yeah.
moment, you're like, ugh, but what am I gonna do? You know, and that part of observing, you are listening to your body and you are listening to your mind, and but there's also other things, and to be able to harmonize all of those first starts with that awareness.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then the awareness, when like, as you know, as you said, like I'm observing, but then there is that as probably the intellect mind, like, oh, this is a long gap, the time is increasing, another month is passing by, you won't be that marketable. So that noise and recognizing that noise. And then once we are aware of that, that has a very strong pull from the left side. How do we
Uh-huh.
cultivate
Just
the
observe
faith and
that. Yeah,
just
just
observing
observe
it?
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's a little bit more refined thing. It's easier to observe the
mm,
body, but
mm,
as your skill set of observation grows and builds, eventually you're observing emotion and then eventually you're observing thoughts, you know?
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This
You're
is
so
amazing. And
yeah,
see,
you're so welcome.
all these sessions, this and after, I think are really helping me grow much, much stronger from inside.
Good.
And I really appreciate that. Thank you
Good, good.
for you and Sam. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Donita.
Hey, Mr. Anita.
Hi, Greg. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
What you just talked with the Lavanya, that was gold, pure.
Yeah.
That is just
Yeah.
perfect. Like I didn't know that. Well, I was looking for that because I wake up at 5-ish, but I'm not gonna talk about this. But that's perfect because I'm like on my heart observing, but I wasn't quite sure how to kill time around that time.
Mhm.
So now I'll just stay with it, which is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about like observing things in the morning?
Well, I do that, but I wasn't quite sure what to do. Like I was like, I'm not certain, like I wake up early and then I'm like, my mind wanders, but I'm like, okay, just stay here. And I was like, I would like this. I'd like, so what you talked to
Right.
I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, I can just do that.
I will say for myself, I can't speak for other people, but I would say that the observations that I do, like right as I'm waking, are the most powerful observations that I do in a day, like by far. Like not even like, oh, they're 10% or 20. I mean, they're just night and day different. And so, in the old days, I would kind of sometimes do it right before I went to bed. But and that works, but there's something about being in that deeper state. You've already set aside the intellect and you already spent some time in deeper levels of intuition, and you're already in like a deeper state of like vagal tone. And so then when you start observing, and even if like I start to get an idea, I'll go, if it's a good idea, I'll remember it during the day. because at first I was like, got to do a brain dump, got to do this, got to do that. And I did that for a while, but I find that if I go, if it survives, then, I'll write it down when I'm up and drinking coffee or something.
Mm.
And, I would say at first, because I would let things go and then I'd sit and observe. And I was like, well, I didn't come up with any juicy tidbits. I didn't really, because all those brain dumps, like there's juicy tidbits in there. But what I would have to do later is I would still have to practice awareness on them. And so I just started doing that thing with like when my mind starts to go off or I start to have these pieces of information, I'll look at it and then I'll go, okay, well, if it survives, it survives. And then I'll keep going back to what I'm observing. And there's a couple areas that you know it's more of like just life and being human and
Mm.
all those kinds of things. And I'm like, eh, I just started observing those and I'll do it for 5, 10, 15, sometimes even a little longer. And like I wake up and I go, I don't know what I think. Like I don't know what's going on. But then as I sit there and I drink coffee, like some ideas might start popping in my head. And even then I'm like, But the thing that happens next is all of a sudden I'm processing something different. All of a sudden I have some sort of inspired action that I didn't have before. And, if you think about like even a lot of times when we do that, we put our awareness on our heart. And really another way of saying that is we're putting our awareness on our heart, but it's also affiliated with Jupiter. It is like that is of Jupiter. Like that is the influence on the heart and the back heart. And so it is that expansive state and it is that, you know, healing and vision and the heart is associated with materialization and bringing things into form and you know I got that intellectually, but when I started doing this morning process, it really changed. My days kind of look the same, but it's like how I do them from the inside is more inspired, like definitely more inspired. And I find that I get more done in shorter amounts of time, is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I can see it. I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you that's magical because you just helped me. It's almost like I have permission to, and you tied some,
Right.
and because I'm already
That's a
like,
good point because there is this like weird kind of permission inside, and
yeah,
it's not from anybody else.
no, it's
It's
me.
like
I'm
it's like your left brain and right brain are going back and forth, and there's almost like this like permission of like, okay, I'm going to step outside the repetition. I'm going to do something a little different. And then you keep feeling like I keep looking back at the circle of repetition. I was like, maybe I should leave some breadcrumbs. Maybe like tie a string around my waist so I can find my way back. Like all these weird thoughts will pop in the head. And it's just like that permission to like explore my perception and explore who I am or what's on the other side of that fence that we call our senses, you know. And once we get to the other side, we start going out a little farther and a little further every time. And, every once in a while, like I get to the point where like I can't see the mind anymore. I can't see and at first that was scary, but after a while, it's kind of
blissful.
stimulating and invigorating. And like, I want more of that.
liberating.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm odd in this way because in the past I was like, you know, that's intellectual. It's like maybe I should get up. People get up at like 5 o'clock and go
Right.
and
Oh,
sit
yeah, I
on
have
a
all those
chair and do the
conversations.
meditation.
I have so many things to do. I should be
Exactly.
doing this. I should be doing that.
And I tried in the past. I honest to God, years ago, I woke up and I went with my notebook and I went and I was like sitting there and there was nothing because I was in my head. I was expecting something to happen, but nothing was happening and I wasn't observing anything yet. So thank you. This is gold because
Mhm.
this is my favorite thing to do, observing and reflecting and contemplating. This is my biggest hobby. I don't always, not often make sense of it, but it feels good.
You know, I had a teacher one time that, you know, as we're talking about this and going beyond the fence of our senses and everything, you know, he likened it to like being an explorer, you know. Because if you think about like back in the old days, they'd jump in a ship and there's something out there on the other side of these waters. We don't know where it is or how to get there, but there's something, right?
Well, that's what I did
Yeah,
when I was 22.
yeah,
Got on a plane into the world across the pond.
right.
And that's all my life. Then, you know,
Right.
went to China, the same thing. That was like, it feels like it's a pattern in my life.
Yeah,
And now I just get to contemplate and do that
yeah.
in a different way, not necessarily in the physical way, moving
Yeah.
physically. So it's fun. It's fun, but it's definitely, so thank you. That was absolute gold. I know it's unrelated to Jupiter and all. I mean, maybe it is related to Jupiter.
I would say it is related to Jupiter. I mean, if you think about vision, you think about healing, you think about materialization. You know, materialization is about light, concretizing light. You know, concretizing light is bringing light back into the form. You know, it's stepping away from that repetition and bringing something a little bit different into that repetition. Because we're never going to let go of the repetition. But if we bring light into it, we can use it like a ship and and explore the world, so to speak.
Do you know, you installed this practice into all of us probably, but I took it and ran with it in my way,
Mhm.
way, and especially in challenge situation. You know, it's like whenever something happens, I immediately go like instead of going holding to your mom's hand as a kid, right?
Mhm.
I go with my awareness to my heart. I just go
Yeah,
straight
good.
to my
Yeah,
heart,
yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I have no idea what's going on, but it's like
Yeah.
I just go to hold to my, you know, it's like going there for
Mhm.
safety, and it helped me immensely through some, you know, in the last years. And yeah, so thank you for that morning thing. It's a
Yeah.
mission to go deeper and explore and not feel, you know, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do a brain dump, but it's like I don't feel like it.
Yeah. And you know the other beautiful thing about it, sometimes I fall back asleep.
Yes, me too. You know, that's I
Where
also
normally I
do that.
wouldn't.
I do that,
And then I
I have
dream on what I was looking at. Like it's really kind of amazing.
and then I yep. Jupiter. Oh my God, this class is absolutely fantastic. I don't want to say was because it is unfolding.
Mhm.
And this is the only class that I felt immediately such a massive shift on Monday. There
Mhm.
was there was just like I was in this spacious, like there was space within me and around me. I was in a different world in a way.
Mhm.
Didn't really know how I was floating.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah,
like
each of the planets are very, very different. You know, they're very, very different. And you know, like in a way, I don't know. You think of Jupiter and you go, oh, healing and materialization. And, you know, I'm thinking about this more from my point of view or whatever. And you just think like, oh yeah, Jupiter. But there's a lot to unpack in Jupiter, you know, a lot.
And you know, it's interesting because it feels like Monday I was in an expanded state, expensive state. whatever. Yes. And then yesterday I contracted.
Mhm. Yeah, sure.
Because it's like my arms and the legs, I could feel soreness in the body. So I did the universal healer oil on my spine as you guided me before, and that helped move in the evening. But then I was presented with a situation and with a friend, and like I was observing, it was an old pattern kicked in, my fear, but I didn't respond. I just observed it. I took time till the energy and things moved. And then I was like, oh my God, that has nothing to do with anybody. It is me. So
Yeah.
you said earlier, I was observing first my feelings, my emotions, and then my thoughts. And then towards the end, there was, it was fine. There was nothing else, nothing there. It was just, I don't even know don't want to take too much time, but.
But if you think about it, like we're all forced into this place because of all of the change that's happening in the world. Like before, this could be something where maybe we choose it, maybe we don't. But like now, if you really don't embrace this aspect, it's going to be very upsetting. It's going to be very stressful, and it's going to make a person very rigid. And the world is changing like week to week, month to month, like not just the things in the news, but even just people, things are things are not the way they used to be. And we're not done with it. It is a change of an age, and we're in the middle of this change of the age. And, at some point it will settle down, but it's probably not going to be in our lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about, I have a question about Jupiter. So astrologically, because I can go on and on and on because I can still feel so much of it still moving. Astrologically, so can you work, because Jupiter in my chart, it is in default, so it's not a strong position. Detriment, it's in detriment. So working this plus, I would say, will it strengthen my Jupiter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. More so than just working the planets or the healing spirit, the healing spirit of Jupiter.
Yeah.
That by itself can be very helpful. But working these different aspects, it's almost like taking something and breaking it down and working each of the individual pieces of it, and it makes a greater like whole, like makes a
mastering it in a way, embodying it and integrate. Okay, perfect. And by the way, just for giggles, I wouldn't say the first word. Jupiter transit is right on top of my midheaven right now in the 10th house. The transiting Jupiter. I don't know if they know much. It's right on top there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I forgot about when we did the class and I was like, oh, no wonder I'm feeling it spicy. So thank you so much. It's such a wonderful.
And then go ahead, Lara.
Hey, Miss Laura.
Hey, Greg. Sorry it took so long. Okay, this is not my original question, but Danita was just talking about the universal healer that she put on her spine. What is that?
It was from a class like earlier in the year, and it's basically poplar balsam and a little bit of bay laurel. And it's very good for like healing, experiencing the astral body, but it cleans up like the thought forms and the blockages in the body. And so it makes it easier for your body to like break out of patterns and break down the accumulated thoughts and emotions that are associated with patterns without like causing chaos. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a good like house cleaner.
I might need a gallon of that.
Yeah, you and me both. You know, so you can inhale it, you can put it on topical. I mean, um, yeah, you know, poplar is amazing by itself, but there was something that adding just, you know, it's about 4 parts poplar and 1 part bay laurel. And, you know, bay laurel has a lot to do with like activating the crown, and it has protective qualities, and it actually has a quality of stimulating the intuitive mind. And, you know, like it's very much associated with like refining yourself, you know. And so if you think about like in the old days with the Olympians, like back in like, you know, Greek times and everything, they would have a like a crown of laurel on their head. And you know, it was tied to these aspects. And so yeah, it's a very nice combination. It's a very nice combination.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad she mentioned it. My first question is, I received my personal guardian angel oil today, and
Mhm.
I love it.
Oh,
Is
good.
it something? The smell is just really very important, you know, at the moment.
Mhm.
Is this something to put on, you know, your heart and your wrists
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
everywhere?
sure.
And is it
And
good
there
before
should be a
bed?
card in there that says like how to use it. It's real simple
The
process.
card said was materialization
Yeah,
breath,
yeah.
but I was wondering about the other things
Yeah,
like,
oh, totally. Wear it on the heart, wear it on the wrist, wear it on the forehead. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and good
I
before
even take
bed.
a I even take a bath in mine sometimes.
That'd
Yeah.
be hard with the roller ball,
Yeah,
but
you can't do it with a rollerball, but yeah, yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
could make life interesting. Um, and the next question I have,
Mhm.
you always talk about when we say something about yawning a lot, that you're releasing um, energies that are stuck in the body,
Mhm.
and I did the 2 Astara sessions tonight, and two things that were different for me, which I'm was totally blissed out afterwards. But two things that were different. One of them was I was yawning to the point of shudder. My body was just shaking, shuddering. It was
Yeah, that's your
so.
nervous system shifting. Like that is, oh man, like when those happen, that is golden. Yeah,
Well, that I didn't know what that exactly
yeah,
was, but
yeah.
that's good. And the other thing that was weird and interesting was when you had us doing the body awareness, I think on the first
Yeah,
one,
sure. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was, I was doing that, and it really felt like it didn't hurt, but it was a strong in my upper right back, just over
Hmm.
from the back heart, but
Hmm.
over to the right. It felt like somebody was pushing something, putting pressure, and I could feel like the circle, pushing into me. It was weird.
It's probably a loop. Like, you know how we talk about those loops? Like I would visit that a couple of times because like the deeper the level of stillness, the deeper we can access those loops and the more that we can shift them. And like even that state of like stillness, and even when you're like kind of repeating like calm and peace and still and I'm okay or whatever it is, like the calmer we are, the more the nervous system and the body goes, oh, okay. We're like, okay, I'm calm, I'm peaceful. Like, you know, we're really not. Like that really doesn't do anything for the nervous system. But like the more calm we can bring into the nervous system, the more it can kind of go back to the more appropriate or proper functioning.
Got it. So
Yeah.
would you, would I,
So
so should
that
I
that's
pick
probably
that
always been
place?
there. That's probably always been there, but you couldn't like without the stillness, you probably couldn't feel it.
So should I go back to it?
Yeah, I mean, I would do like in our meditations or, whenever you're doing something, you're practicing stillness, like you could just go back and go, okay, I'm going to revisit that and just, let the mind keep shifting into like the intuitive mind, like the expansion. Yeah.
And you've got to go. We're seeing the text that you've
Yeah.
got to go. So I may ask this another time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
we will.
you.
And send an email if it's something immediate.
I'm fine. Thank
Okay.
you so
Okay.
much.
You're so welcome.
Good night.